That is Marcus's entire emergency fund. I know this because I built his budget spreadsheet in episode 5, and $47 is what survived after every bill, subscription, and spontaneous decision. Last episode we locked in the secured card strategy, the right card for Marcus's credit score, the right utilization target, the right payment timing. His score is moving, that part is working. But here is what nobody talks about in the credit rebuild conversation. One unexpected expense, one car repair, one medical bill, one appliance that quits, and you put it on that credit card. Utilization spikes. The progress you built for 6 months takes a hit overnight. The emergency fund is not a savings goal. It is credit score insurance. Here's what this episode covers. Exactly how much you need first, where to put it, how to automate it even if your income feels like there's nothing left, and the exact protocol for when life tests whether you actually saved it. By the end, you will have a system, not a goal, a system. 3 months ago, Marcus had $12 in savings. He is now at $47. He considers this momentum. The problem is not that Marcus isn't trying. The problem is that every personal finance article starts with build 3 to 6 months of expenses. And if you're rebuilding your credit from 540, 3 to 6 months of expenses is so far away it might as well be fictional. So people don't start. The goal that feels impossible does not get started. The goal that feels possible does. We analyzed hundreds of threads in r/personnel finance and r/poverty finance from the past 12 months about emergency fund failures, specifically what expense broke people's credit progress. The pattern was consistent. It was not catastrophe. It was $400 to $800 in car repair, medical copays, or 1 month of income disruption, which makes the math clear. If your first target is $1,000, you cover the most common emergency categories without touching your credit card. Beat 1. Why $1,000 first, not 3 to 6 months? The 3 to 6 month rule is for people who already have stable income, no high-interest debt, and an established credit history. That is not who this series is for. Here is the actual sequence. If you are in a credit rebuild, first $1,000. This is your firewall. One unexpected expense hits, car, medical, appliance. You pay it from this account, and your credit card balance stays at 0. Your utilization stays under 10%. Your score does not take a hit. Second, once you hit $1,000 and your score clears 650, now you look at whether a rewards card makes sense. That is the next episode in this series. We will run the actual math. Third, after the rewards card is dialed in, you expand the fund to 1 month, then 3. But that is later. Right now, $1,000. The reason $1,000 is the target, not $500, not $2,000, is that the Federal Reserve's 2023 Consumer Finance Survey found that the median unexpected expense that pushed households into credit card debt was between $400 and $1,000. $1,000 covers the median emergency. That is enough to stop the bleeding. Beat 2, the math, finding your real number. 2 ways to get to $1,000. Pick the one that's honest for your life. Option A, monthly, $33 per month, 12 months, $1,000. If you can automate $33 a month right now, that is your number. You don't feel it as much because it moves once on payday before you see it. Option B, weekly, $67 per week, 24 weeks, 6 months, $1,000. If you get paid weekly or biweekly, a smaller weekly number is easier to absorb. $67 a week is $6 a day. That is the math, not inspiring, but it is real. What if those numbers are impossible? Then start smaller. $25 a month is not going to get you to $1,000 this year. But $25 a month for 3 months builds the habit and gets you to $75. Then you increase, the habit comes first, the amount scales up. What does not work? Keeping the money in checking and deciding to save more when things settle down. Things do not settle down. The automation is the move. Beat 3, where IT lives, high-yield savings account. The emergency fund does not live in checking. It does not live under a mattress. It lives in a high-yield savings account, specifically one with no minimum balance requirement, because if you're starting with $47, you cannot afford a minimum balance fee. 2 accounts we look at for this situation. Ally Online Savings current APY, approximately 4, 00 to 4, 40% minimum balance, $0 monthly fees, $0 direct link, ally.com/bank/online savings account/ SoFi checking and savings current APY on savings, approximately 3.80 to 4.50% depending on direct deposit setup minimum balance, $0 monthly fees, $0 note. The highest SoFi rate requires direct deposit activation. Direct link, sofi.com/banking/. Both accounts have one critical feature: they are not your main checking account. That separation is not a technical requirement, it is a psychological one. If the emergency fund is in the same account as your rent money, you will spend it. One mental wall goes a long way. What to look for in any high-yield savings account: no minimum balance, so you can start with $47. No monthly fees. FDIC insured. Both Ally and SoFi are verify at FDIC. Gov APY clearly stated, no intro rate that drops after 90 days. Once the $1,000 is built, this same account becomes your starting point for longer-term savings. You do not need to move it anywhere else until you're building toward 3 months of expenses, which is a later conversation in this series. One quick thing before the automation step: if you're in the credit rebuild process right now, the 500 to 700 roadmap at cardsmadesimple.com/rebuild has the full sequence laid out: score mechanics, which products to use in what order, and how the emergency fund fits into the rebuild timeline. Chapter 1 is free. It is linked in the description. We will keep going. Beat 4, the automation step. Here is the exact setup. This is not complicated. It takes 4 minutes. Step 1, open your new high-yield savings account. Ally and SoFi both have mobile apps. Setup takes approximately 5 to 7 minutes with your social security number and a checking account for the initial link. Step 2, set a recurring transfer for your number, $33 per month or $67 per week, scheduled for your payday. If you get paid Friday, the transfer goes out Friday. The money moves before you can see it in your checking balance. Why Friday payday specifically? The research on savings failure consistently points to the same problem. People save what's left at the end of the month. There is rarely anything left at the end of the month. The automation removes the decision from the equation. The money moves first. You live on what's left. Step 3, do not touch it for 4 weeks. That is the protocol for the first month. Prove to yourself the number works. If you're short in week 3, note it. Adjust the amount down if needed. A smaller automated transfer that actually runs is worth more than a larger one you turn off. Beat 5, the break glass protocol. You will eventually face a situation that feels like it requires this money. Some of those situations will be real emergencies. Some will not. Here is the protocol. Write it down. Seriously, write it down before you need it, because when you need it you will not think clearly. Emergencies, use the fund. Car repair needed to get to work, medical copay or urgent prescription utility shutoff, notice job loss. First month of bills, only essential appliance failure, refrigerator, heat in winter. Not emergencies, do not use the fund. A sale that ends soon, something you plan to buy eventually, a bill you knew was coming and didn't budget for, I'll put it back next week. I know that list looks obvious written down. It stops being obvious at 11 p.m. when the car repair estimate is $620 and the shoes are $89 and you had a rough week. Write it down now. It is a contract with yourself. After you use it, if a real emergency hits and you pull from the fund, the rebuild starts the next payday, not when things calm down. The next Friday, the transfer runs. You do not wait until you're back to $1,000 to restart. You restart immediately at whatever number fits your budget and you rebuild. Here is the verdict, and it is specific. If you have nothing saved and you're in a credit rebuild, your first financial goal is $1,000 in a high-yield savings account, not a credit score, not a rewards card. $1,000 in savings. Your number, $33 per month if you budget monthly, $67 per week if you budget weekly or biweekly, lower if those numbers aren't honest, lower and automated beats higher and aspirational. Your account, Ally or SoFi, no minimum, no fees, FDIC insured, separate from your checking. Your move this week: open the account, link your checking, set the recurring transfer for next payday. 4 minutes. The FOMO close. One unexpected expense at the wrong moment does not just cost money. It costs the credit progress you spent months building. The $1,000 fund is the only thing that stands between a car repair and a utilization spike you did not plan for. The math is not complicated. The behavior is. That covers the emergency fund. Here is what we have not addressed yet. Once you hit $1,000, the next question is what to do with the credit score you've been building, specifically whether a rewards card now makes sense for you, which ones the math actually supports at your score range, and which ones to avoid. That is episode 7. It drops next Monday. If this episode saved you from a utilization spike, the like button is right there. If you know someone who has $47 saved and a plan to start saving more when things settle down, send them this video. That person specifically. Subscribe so episode 7 hits your feed the day it drops. We'll be covering which rewards cards the math actually supports once you've cleared 650. The 500 to 700 roadmap at cardsmadesimple.com/rebuild has the full sequence, where the emergency fund fits in the credit rebuild timeline, which steps come before and after, and what to do with your score once you're past 650. Chapter 1 is free. For the optimizers watching, cardsmadesimple.com/match has the card comparison tool. If you're here because you already have good credit and you're